right, guys, welcome back to H-TownStories. I'm your host, Nick Ramirez. As always, we are here to tell the ordinary tales, or the extraordinary tales of ordinary people. I wanted to say, I appreciate y'all guys for listening. I'm thankful that you guys are listening, and I hope you continue listening. And if you're enjoying it, or tell me that you have a story that you want to share, feel free to email me, and we'll see what we can do. But I want you guys to use this as a place to share our collective lives and stories. And so with that out of the way, again, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, share with your friends, tell everybody whatever you got to do. But today's guest, I have had the pleasure of working with for at least 5 to 6 years. She is an incredible woman. She is highly intelligent. She is one of the only people that I know that's, when she sets her mind to do something, it is unbelievable of how focused she can get. She has a beautiful self-discipline. And this girl rocked a six-pack for, I think, a year and a half or 2 years. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, this lady, she can do anything she sets her mind to. And I am so proud to call her my friend, Miss Ana Jimenez. All right, my fake applause is over. Welcome to the podcast, Miss Ana Jimenez.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
So, as always, I open up with just a random discussion. And you actually started a business in the middle of this quarantine.
Yes. So, since I was going to stay home and do absolutely nothing, I decided to start a business. And it's been good so far. And I like it. I've been doing masks, headbands, and shirts. Mm-hmm. But it's been great so far. And I like it.
So, I got to say, your designs are impeccable. They are, simple, cute. You'll do anything that you like. You'll try to do anything that for anybody, that whatever they ask for, which I love. You try to customize everything. And then, if you follow her Instagram pages, Ana Lou's Creations. It's a really great place to get your masks, your headbands. They're adorable. Shirts. She made my wife and my son's one DMC for his birthday. We're gonna be Run DMC, so we put one DMC to make it kind of cute and funny. But I really appreciate it. It's a great business, and of course there's other people making these masks and stuff, but your attention to detail is just something that is beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. Well, I basically decided to start this because, you go to the store and then you see accessories and sometimes they're like overpriced. You're like, hell no, I'm not paying that for a headband. Right? So I decided to start my own, and then some friends, they started asking me if I was going to sell them. So that's when I decided to start my own business.
Yeah.
And then from there I was like, okay, let me do matching masks to the headbands. And then, of course, I've been doing shirts for probably like 2 years already.
Yes.
But it wasn't really like a business. Mm-hmm. Now I decided to do that, and that's what I'm doing. So I do masks, shirts, headbands, and sometimes I will add something else. It depends, like if I see it, and so I try to make things, and if I like it, then that's something that I will add. But if I make something and I feel like it doesn't look good, I won't make it. Well, and I will tell you.
Yeah, you have a really great business plan, I think, and you're enjoying yourself. Is there, if you could, would you quit teaching to do that full time? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if somebody came to you and was like, I'll give you this much to invest in yourself and create a business, would that be something you did?
I don't think so. Well, it depends. Somebody already told me that last week, I think so. She was like, wow. I hope that they don't want to invest on my business, but they were like, I really wish you the best, that you can make enough money to quit teaching.
Yeah.
And then my answer was, well, I really love teaching. I don't think I will quit that, right? That's something just extra because, teachers don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I feel like doing this, I'm making some extra money, but it doesn't have to be with teaching. Right? Yeah. I feel like in education, in order for you to make more money, you need to do
some kind of side hustle.
Yes. So I'm like, I'd rather do this, and I'm not teaching, and I'm not thinking about teaching all day. like even after school.
It's a way for us to decompress.
So I'm like, I like it. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this, but it's been great.
So with that, we'll go ahead and wind down and get into the stories. And so we're going to start with, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mexico. Well, not Mexico City, but I'm from Cárdenas, San Luis Potosí.
There goes that accent. It's beautiful. That beautiful accent right there.
So, yeah, I spent probably, half of my life over there.
Wow.
So I've been here for 15 years already. I moved here when I was 12.
12.
And then I was here for 2 years, and then I went back, and then I was there 2 years, and then I came back again. And I've been here since then.
Wow. So we'll come back to that. So what was it like in Mexico? You know, I think there's a lot of people that have their own specific opinion of what they think Mexico is. So
well, of course, it's completely different from here. I think here life goes too fast, and you don't really have time to spend time with your family.
Yeah.
Or enjoy your family. And over there is completely different. You get to see your family because, I mean, I'm from a small town, so you can actually see your family almost like every day. And you talk to your neighbors, you know everyone, right? And here's like, you have neighbors, but you don't know them sometimes.
That is very true. I've lived in my house now for 3 years, and I know my neighbor across the street really well. I know the neighbor slightly to the left of me. I know the neighbor to the right of me slightly left. But anybody beyond that, I have no idea.
And
no idea.
Here's like, well, my mom was a teacher. And then, so I'm going to say that almost everybody knew hers. So you would go to the store and then you will walk. I mean, you don't need a car to go places over there. So I remember her like stopping everywhere, talking to people. And sometimes she would be like, you want to go with me to the store? I was like, no, I'm not going. Because I know that you're going to stop everywhere and you're going to talk to people for hours. So that was the thing that I didn't like. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to become a teacher.
You didn't want to become a teacher?
No, that was
originally?
The last thing that I wanted it to be. And some of my friends, they tell me now, like, remember when we were younger and you said you were never going to be a teacher and now that's what you're doing? But I think it was because teachers over there, they do different work from the one that we do here. Mm-hmm. So I was like, she's always working and she has to do all this. So I didn't really like it. But when I came here and then I started like subbing, that was when I was like, oh, maybe I can do that. I mean, it's completely different.
Yeah.
But like I said, you know everyone. You go to the store and they know you. And you can even like go to the store to get some lace or whatever. And then if you don't have money, you can just tell the person like, yeah, I'll come back later and bring you the money. Something that, of course, you're never going to do here.
No, you do that and the cops are coming right now.
Yeah, so that's something different. Like even if you go to the supermarket, well, we don't have a supermarket. Now we do, right? But we didn't used to. So they will have like markets, like mercados, and same thing. They all knew you.
You said you didn't plan on being a teacher. What was your dream there then? You know, we go through everything, right? I wanted to be a cop originally.
Wanted it to be a pediatrician.
What? A pediatrician?
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't like to
Dr.
see blood.
Jimenez.
If I see blood, like I will like pass out. I cannot see it. So I have a cousin. He's a doctor. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, I don't think I can do that. Because he will tell me like, well, you need to do this and that. And I was like, no, I can't do this.
Did you ever go rounds with him or anything? Go to the hospital and go with him?
No, but I will go to my mom's job almost every day. And then if a teacher is absent over there, you don't get a sub. It's like your teacher is not here, you're going to go home. Or they will have somebody else, maybe like my mom will cover the classes for them. Mm-hmm. So sometimes she will send me like, hey, you know what? Go help this teacher. And then I will go to the classrooms and help teachers or help her do work. Or even like they do boloches or bolsitas, like the treat bags at the parties, because they have festivals for kids all the time. Like they do for Christmas, they do for Dia del Niño. And they do, what else do they have? at the end of the school year, they do like a graduation party. So I will help her like do stuff for all that.
So you spent a lot of time in schools, and you decided to come over to the States, graduate college, and spend more time in a school.
Well, and yeah, and then my aunt, she was a principal too.
Yeah.
So I will go to her school,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
then I will help her with the same things, and she will be like, okay, you can go help this teacher,
Mhm.
and then that's what I would do. So at a certain point, I think I was just like, I don't want to do this because they're doing. I live with teachers,
Yeah.
so now maybe that was, I don't know.
It was training. That's what it was. That's what it was.
I
Training
mean,
for your
that's why
future.
I think now I know what to do. I mean, I learned from them on how to like treat students. Maybe I don't know.
I think you're right. I think there's something to it. You said your mom was a principal too over there?
Yes.
And your aunt was a principal?
Mhm.
So, I mean, you got to see the rundown from early on of like what it takes to really run a school very well and to give to your kids. I think it's harder for a lot of teachers now to give to their kids, especially besides this virus thing. But in general, I think, we don't make a lot already. We have to fund almost 98% of our classroom. And then on top of that, we are expected to fund parties. We're expected to fund this. We're expected to fund that. And don't get me wrong, this isn't me getting upset about it. This is what I signed up for, and I love it. But there is part of you that goes, if I did have a separate budget for this, which is why I probably have a side hustle, it would be so much easier for me to give to the kids the way that I want to give to them.
Yeah, teachers will be like, "Well, that's why you're spending all that money on your kids because you're not married, you don't have
big boy
any
bills. That's
kids.
what we call them. Big boy bills.
That's why." But I'm like, I just feel like my kids need it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we work in a Title I school, and some of them during Christmas time probably they don't even get a gift.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I can do it right now, why not?
Yeah.
If I can give them just a little something, just to make them smile.
Yeah. I mean, you make their day. You don't realize.
Even if it's
what you
just
do.
with a chocolate.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids, they really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Especially a lot of the kids, they might be living your story, right? Like your story that we'll get into in a little bit. There's a smidge there that you can relate to heavily. So we talked about your mom being a principal and stuff. What does your dad do?
My dad, he used to work at construction.
Mm.
He doesn't do that anymore, but he works at the plants right now.
Okay.
So that's what he does.
So most of the time when you grew up, he was working.
He was here.
He was here in the States.
Yes. And we were living in Mexico with my mom. So it was my mom, my two brothers, and me. And my dad, he will go visit us for like a month or 3 weeks, depending on how work was here.
Yeah.
Because, when it rains here and if you work at construction,
You're off work.
yes. So he will be here for like 3 months, and then he will go visit and stay with us for like a month.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was really strict
because
she was the one raising us.
And your mom was mom and dad.
Yes.
I mean, that's tough.
And so my dad, he will go and he was just like, yeah, that's fine. It's okay. So he was always like the soft one.
Yeah.
And my mom
Your mom's like, get mad at him.
Yes,
get mad at him for
all
something
the
they did
time.
like a month ago.
My dad will go with gifts like, okay, what do y'all need? What do y'all want? And he will go and hear.
Yeah.
So
you had the experience of your dad popping in and out at times in your life, right? And what was it like that? What was it like growing up with your father's situation like that?
Well, I honestly, I like it now that we're all together. But at that time, you didn't really know like the difference because it was not like we were living like together and then he had to move here. That's how it was since they got married. Because before they got married, my dad was working here.
Okay.
So he knew my mom since they were like in high school or middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always saying that he was in love with her since the first time he met her.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, so they got married and he was here. So they got married. My mom stayed over there and he didn't want us to come here without like a green card or us having, papers.
Yeah.
So it was until he fixed everything that we could come here. And it was like when I was basically like 12.
Yeah.
And I was here for 12 years. I mean,
No.
2 years.
Yeah.
Not 12 years.
So, since your dad was coming in and out, you spoke to me about how your grandfather kind of helped replace that role as your father figure. So, could you share one of your fondest memories of your grandfather?
Well, I have a lot of memories with him, but he will go pick me up from school every day. And it was this like store right next to the school where I went for like first grade. And they will sell like yogurt. And he will take me there after school all the time.
Every day?
Yes.
And every day you just ate that yogurt up, or would
Yeah.
you?
I mean, it was really nice because he will go like visit his friends after school, and I will go with him, and but also he was a train conductor.
That is so
And
cool.
then he will take us there, and sometimes he will like go from Cárdenas to Tampico. It's like different places, and we will like ride the train.
How long was that ride?
It was probably more than 5 hours.
Jeez.
I know, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have that anymore, and I don't think a lot of people had the opportunity to travel by train. But I had, and it was amazing.
What were some of the experiences that you had on there? Like, because you were talking about how you got to ride with the passengers and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and then it will be like people that will get on the train and then sell like fried fish.
What?
And then, yes, it was really good. I mean, right now you're like, oh my God, did I really like?
No, I mean, but it's different.
But it's something different. Like people will like get on the train and then sell stuff to you, like for example, fried fish or any other stuff. But I mean, those are like experiences that I don't know if my kids, well, whenever I have kids, like they're not gonna be able to do that. That side from like Cárdenas to Tampico, it's like the view that you have, it's amazing. All that side that we call it Huasteca, it's really amazing.
Is it like mountainous views? Is it?
It's like all green, like forest, like yeah, kind of.
Well, I'm glad that you got to have that experience with him. And so you shared a story of with me. So can you share the story of the day you found out of his passing?
Well, yeah, we moved here. I moved here when I was 15, and then my grandpa was already sick, right? And one of my fears was like, well, we're gonna move, and then what if something happens to him? So I think, well, I was here for 2 months already, and then I remember, I think it was on the weekend. I couldn't remember if it was a Saturday or a Sunday, but my mom was in Mexico with my little brother, and I was here with my dad and my other brother. And I remember my mom calling my dad, telling him that we needed to go over there because my grandpa was very sick. So my dad drove from here to there, and it's usually like 12 hours, like a 12-hour drive. I think he did less than 10 hours. And then I remember I started crying, obviously, because I was like, well, what if something happens to him
on the whole drive there?
Yes,
you just bawling your
I was
heart
just
out.
like crying, and then I was just like, I just want to get there already. And then I remember when we were turning on that street to go to our house, and then I started like seeing like people are outside of our house, and I was like, no, this can't be happening. So in Mexico, sometimes you can do like the funeral like at your house. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the funeral home. And then we were just like driving by, and then I saw the casket. It was there, and it was a lot of people there. So I wanted to get out of the truck, and then my dad was like, no, you need to wait. My mom came out of the house, and then I just like started crying. I think it's been the worst thing so far that
You have the worst pain you've had to feel before.
Yes, it was. He was. I'm not gonna. He was there all the time, and I think he loved every single one of us like too much. That
This is the way a grandfather should, huh?
yeah, I mean, and I remember when we had like Father's Day festival over there in Mexico. He will go, and everybody knew him. And even though he was old, he would do everything with us. And then it was just amazing. I mean, I have like really good memories with him.
That's awesome. You know, going through a loss with grandparents and stuff like that. You know, I never got to have that experience. I did experience obviously my grandfather's death, but for me uniquely, I didn't have grandparents on my dad's side, and then you know I didn't know them. That did obviously, but I didn't know them. And on my mom's side, I didn't know my grandmother. She had passed away before I was born, and so for me, the only relationship I really had with my grandparents was my grandfather. But even then, it was kind of touch and go at the time, and so I didn't really have that unique experience where I grew up with him. I had like fond memories of him going places and doing things with him, and you know it's nice to hear those memories being said and shared.
It was just the little things about him. I remember when my dad was there. Obviously, he would take me to school
Yeah.
when he was there. And then my grandpa will call him because my house was in the back of my grandma's house. Well, it's in the backs of my grandma's house. And then he will call me. Like, he will wait for me outside, like by his door. And he will be like, hey. And he will give me money on my way to school all the time when he was not allowed to take me to school. Not that he was not allowed, but my dad was the one taking me to school.
Yeah.
So he will give me money.
Wow.
Just to spend at school. You know what? Those little things. And then I think I shared this with you already. I can remember. Did I? About the backpack with
I don't remember. I think you did, but go ahead and share with us.
the rolling backpacks when they first came out. And then, so one of my neighbors had one. And of course, I had this big backpack because over there they give you a book for each subject. And then you have to take it home back and forth every day. So, of course, my backpack was heavy with all the books that I had. Because right now, my kids are only doing science, social studies, math, and reading and writing. And they don't have to take books home. Well, over there, you have to take them. And then you have like 6 subjects. So imagine your books plus your notebooks. So I remember he saw my neighbor and he was like, well, I'm gonna buy you one. That way you don't have to carry all your books. And I was like, okay. It was just amazing.
That's great. It's. I'm glad that he was there for you to take, not in a way to fill that father role that your dad had to come over here and work. Like you said, the relationship was like that since day one, and I mean that's a unique agreement in a way. Like like your mom being like, okay, you're gonna go over there and work, come back, and just send me money or whatever. And for your mom to be able to commit to be like, I'm gonna raise 4 kids, 3 kids, and like pretty much on her own at times, and going through all the baby situation alone, or not alone, but having that. But she also had all your other relatives that are nearby, right, to be able to help her out and stuff like that. It's so I wanted to go from there into one of the stories that you shared with. I wanted to talk about the accident that you had.
Yes. So when I first moved here, we were here for 2 years, and we will go not all the time, but during summer and Christmas, we will go to Mexico and visit our family. So we were on our way back here, and then we had a car accident. It was pretty bad, and then my mom and I got out of the truck. And
so wait, take me back step by step through the accident. What?
I don't really remember because I was asleep. I just remember my mom telling my dad hey, because we were about to hit another car. And then I don't know exactly what my dad did, but when I woke up, I just saw the truck that it was
flipping. Wow.
And then when I realized we were out already.
You didn't fly out, right?
Yes.
You flew out of the car? Through a window or something? Or
I don't know if it was a window or what it was.
Whoa, so you tumbled. So your dad's driving straight on this road. He feels like the 18-wheeler is about to hit him or some truck, whatever. He swerves, and y'all tumble rolling down, and you fly out the car somehow. Are you bleeding at all?
No, nothing actually happened to me. I don't know, but that's why I don't even realize when that happened. That I was looking for my mom, and she was somewhere close to me, and she was like, go look for your brothers and go look for your dad, and they were still inside. So when my dad got out of the truck, we were looking for my mom, and then of course she was the most affected one because she opened her head. And then so we were there, like people obviously like cars, they stopped and they were like trying to help us because they saw that it was pretty bad. So they actually said we thought that somebody like passed.
Oh wow.
Because that's how bad it was. So they were stopping, and then this person said, because they call the ambulance. I don't think at that time we had 911 because they do now. I don't think they had it back then. So they were like, you know what, we can just take them that way. We can see the ambulance that way. It won't take that long. So that's what we did. And then when we were about to get on the I think it was a van, I can't remember. They were like, you're not going anywhere, you're staying. So the police officer told my dad that he needed to stay because maybe he was fighting with my mom or something. They were having a discussion, and maybe he did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Apparently to them. So
you never trust these cops. You never know.
I think I was 12. Yeah. 12. My brother was 10, and then my little brother was probably 5 at that time, or less than 5. So we all had to go with my mom, and my dad stay somewhere. We didn't even know where he was.
Wow.
So my mom, when we were at the hospital, my mom was like trying to remember numbers because I don't think we had a cell phone back then. So she was like trying to remember all those numbers, that way we could call.
With a huge cut in the back of her head, right? Bleeding out.
So they were there, and then they were trying to do all the stitches and everything. And then she was like trying to remember all the numbers, that way we could call somebody. Of course, she didn't want to call my grandma because she was going to be like freaking out, right? So she remembered that the night before she was calling my uncle to, just to call and say that we were leaving next day and whatever. So she was like, she kind of like memorized that number. So that was the person that we called. So he came because he was really close. I think he was only like 2 hours away. So he was the first person that came to see us. And then, of course, all the other family came, but we didn't know where my dad was. So that's when they started like making calls and everything. And then my dad got, I think it was the next day when my dad was able to come with us.
Wow. So he stayed in jail for like a good day, or at least they held him, detained him?
I don't think it was jail, but they were just like retaining him because he needed to explain exactly what happened and everything.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, so after that, they were like, okay, they released my mom. So we went back to Cardenas, and my mom, she needed like somebody like to take care of her because of everything that happened. So my dad had to come back because he needed to pay bills and everything else, right? We had an apartment, so he had to pay rent, bills, everything else. So he was like, you're staying here in Mexico with your mom, and then I'm going to go back. So we stayed there for 2 years. And yeah.
Stayed there in Mexico for 2 years, right? Was that one of the main reasons? Because you said that was around the time you were 12, right?
Yeah, I was 12.
So you already came here initially the
13,
first time.
12, yeah.
And then because of your mom's accident, that's why you stayed another 2-3 years. Wow. So how was it taking, like was your mom's injury very severe and you had to like do a lot of stuff?
It wasn't like that severe, but of course we had family over there that could be like taking care of her. And I don't know. I guess they thought that it was better for us to stay over there just for a little bit.
If you could talk us through coming at 12, like why was it that you came at 12 and then, we know now why you came back at 15, but, or actually not really why, but now we know why there was a gap of going and coming. So why was it that you came at 12 and how did that happen?
Well, because we got our like green card.
Yeah.
And when you have a green card, you have to live here. You have to be living here. You cannot be over there in Mexico because I think if they notice that you're living over there, then they take away your green card.
They revoke it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
Because, I mean, if you're asking for it, it's because you want to live here, right?
True.
But I think it's different if you're a citizen. Like, it doesn't matter where you live. I don't know how that works exactly, but my dad told us at that time that we needed to be here. So that's why we came here.
So your dad filled out the paperwork here.
Yeah, he
How
did.
long did it take for him? Did you ever ask him?
I don't know exactly.
Because I've heard it takes like years at times.
Well, I think it depends. Like, it depends on the situation.
Mm.
Like, I think for some people it could be less. For some of us it could be more. Because even when he did all the paperwork for us to be citizens, because before, if you're younger than 18 and your dad is a citizen, he can do all the paperwork and you can become a citizen without taking the test.
Wow.
So he did that for us. So I became a citizen and I didn't have to take the test.
Did anybody else in your family have to take the test?
No, my mom, she's a resident.
Oh, okay.
I've been telling her that she needs to do the test and she's like, no.
So you stayed, you came over here, and how was your time? How was the first couple of, because you stayed here for 2 years, right?
Yeah, I was here for 2 years.
So how was it just coming over?
It was a big difference. Of course, I was in a small school with probably like 10 kids in my classroom. And then you're moving here where you go to a school and you have to be moving from classroom to classroom. And it was, of course, shocking. Should I say that word maybe? Because no English. I didn't know what to do. They gave me a schedule and I had no idea what to do. I remember I went to Beverly Hills Intermediate. I was in 6th grade, yes. And then I think they did something for like if it was your first year, if you were a 6th grader. So first day of school, I go to my homeroom. They gave me my schedule. And then I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I didn't know what to do. I was like lost.
Yeah. And nobody like, did you make a friend right away? Or did you just kind of like, I'm going to stay to myself?
No. I remembered this person because when my parents, they went to school to do all the paperwork and everything. It was this lady. And I know she works at the district right now. And I think her name is Alita Harrell. So she helped my parents fill out the paperwork. One of my cousins was with us, but she helped us because she knew a little bit of Spanish. So I can remember if I went to the office looking for her, I can remember because I didn't know what to do. And of course, I was looking for somebody that knew Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And all I could say was like, I don't speak English.
That was your sentence.
Yeah, like or even like no English. I don't even know if I was able to say like the whole thing like I don't speak English, but I would be like no English.
And when you say the phrase like, and this is a dumb question, I don't know, but when you say the phrase, do you really comprehend what you're saying, or you're just kind of saying it like the way you would sing a song?
Because I mean, I kind of like had like I knew like a few words, of course, like hey, what's your name, things like that, right? But if you will like. We're trying to have a conversation with me, I was like, I don't know what you're saying. I didn't know what to do. I had no friends. So my brother was going to a different school from me. So
you were isolated.
Yes.
And so what was it like? How were those next 2 years and how did they get better?
Well, I'm going to say that I had good teachers that they tried every single thing in order to help me because they didn't have bilingual programs. It was just ESL.
Yeah.
And when you're in an ESL program, they don't speak to you in Spanish. It's like English, and then we're trying to help you.
Weed you off the native tongue.
So I made a few friends that were in the ESL class. And then that's where I met one of the, I'm going to say, I call him my uncle. And maybe you have seen him here. It's the one that always comes when it's Veterans Day.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's when I met him. And since that day, he's been there for me all the time. So, yeah, he was helping the ESL. He has always been a volunteer for Pasadena. And then he was there for the ESL kiddos. So I was in the ESL classroom, and then that's where I made some friends. But I had some teachers that they were really good. I mean, I feel like sometimes teachers, they don't even care. Like, okay, they don't know English, then what else can we do for them?
Yeah.
But even though they were not ESL teachers, they will try to look for somebody to translate for me.
Yeah. That was half the battle. It wasn't that you would, like you said, some teachers would be like, well, they don't know this. I don't, like, naively probably be like, well, they don't know anything kind of thing.
And I feel like people will look at you like, oh, like kids, she doesn't know English. And
Well,
they will look at you like, I won't talk to you because you don't know English.
and you're in middle school. You know, middle schoolers are not the funnest people.
And of course, you're like all here, like shy, didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
no language. And then you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. So what if I say something and they laugh? Because I don't know how to say it correctly.
So you developed an anxiety for your language, for speaking English at a very early age. Do you remember one of the earliest moments that you've had speaking English and it didn't go so well?
Well, maybe when I was in high school, when we came back
Mm-hmm.
again, I was in speech.
Oh yes. Uh huh.
That was the worst thing ever.
So what was that like?
Well, because imagine, let's say you go to Mexico
Mm-hmm.
and you know no Spanish, and they make you stand in front of a classroom doing a like 5 or 10 minute speech.
All Spanish.
And all in Spanish.
And you're 15.
Exactly. With all these teenagers there, and you don't know what to say. And they just like staring at you
Nerve-wracking
like,
right there.
what are you going to say? Well, I kept like,
I don't know my name. I don't know. I don't know English.
My,
Same
my
sentence.
name is Ana. I mean, what else could I do? I mean,
Yeah. Did you have were you up there for 5 minutes just sweating bullets of like
I was just like, I think I kind of like tried, but after like a couple minutes, I was just like, I'm done.
And the teacher didn't feel like the teacher helped
Well,
you.
she tried to like kind of like encourage me. I mean, I guess that's what like teachers will do. Like, hey, you can do it, right? And yeah, everyone can say you can do it, but if you don't know no English,
Yeah.
what are you supposed to say? Just like keep saying the same words for like 5 minutes until you're done. Like, yeah, 5 minutes, that's it, I'm done. And
You could have just stood up there and be like, I'm just going to stand and sweat my anxiety out. And you probably would have got the same grade everybody else did that
But
went up there and talked.
high school, I went to Dobie, like classroom was that they had like probably like more than 20 kids.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, that is definitely a moment you probably think about sometimes. But going back to when you were here at 12, like, did you start to learn the language already? Or like, how long did it take you to start throwing
'Cause,
yourself
I mean,
into the language?
I feel like people, well, I don't think it was that way. I can remember if it was that way. But when you come here, it's not like you're going to go to a certain class and they're going to teach you English.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it happens. And sometimes when you tell people, because even when I go to Mexico and I tell them I'm a bilingual teacher, they think that you teach English. And no, I don't teach English. I'm just a bilingual teacher. I serve kids that their first language is Spanish and they're trying to make that transition to English.
Mm-hmm.
When you come here and you do ESL classes, you don't go to a class. I mean, they kind of like try to tell you, but it's not like, okay, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna do numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say uno, one. No, we don't do that. We're just giving you a service.
Interesting. So that's
it's even harder. And I think I remember my mom was like, well, you're not taking any of the ESL classes, because she knew that the first 2 years that I was here, I was like, I don't want to learn English. I don't want to be here. I want to go back to Mexico. So I was
just
blocked.
mad already.
So I was in the ESL program, but I was not getting those classes.
Mm-hmm.
I was not getting the ESL classes. So it was even worse. I mean, they were, of course, checking me every year, like doing the test and see how I was doing. But I was not getting those ESL classes that the new kids were taking.
Yeah.
Where they can kind of like help you, right? You can do like conversations. But it's not like an actual class. I don't know how to explain it, where they're going to teach you proper English. Or I don't know that.
Or like sit down and be like, all right, these are phrases that we use. These are, like you said, like really slowly translate everything and make the connections.
It's like ESL, like you're taking like regular classes, but you're just like giving them a service, like kind of like doing it slowly because they don't know the language. I don't know. But the thing is that I wasn't getting those classes because my mom was like, if you're there, then it's going to be even worse for you because you're not going to learn it. So I was like, okay. So I was just doing regular classes.
Hmm.
I was in the ESL program. I was taking regular classes. So it was even worse.
I couldn't imagine the level of frustration you felt. You know, I stayed and I don't know if I've said this before, but I've stayed in Honduras for a week at one point in my life,
I think
and
you did mention that to me
yeah,
before.
yeah, and for the audience, I don't think I've mentioned that yet, but I stayed for 1 week, and it was, I stayed with some family that was over there, not my family, but I stayed with some family over there, and it was, by the time the fifth day came, I was like just a walking headache, because the first off, the language, the Spanish over there is different, so the dialect's different. They say things at a different pace of speed, right? Like, you notice how like certain Spanish is like faster in certain areas or slower. There's it's a dialect, just like in English in the States. So it was totally different. Being surrounded, immersed, right? That's the word we use, immersed in the language. I remember the fifth day waking up and be like, I can't imagine what it is to live this, like this be my life. Like, and then having to force myself to learn the language. Like, there's an arrogance that people have when they don't know that language and they're not placed in a situation like that where they get to see what it is to be someone that's from a different country, whether it be Mexico or Asia, some European countries or Asia, just being that frustrated and not being able to communicate, right? That's
Yes,
that
that's
losing that.
like that's the worst thing because you're like, how do I say it?
Mhm.
I mean, what am I supposed to say? How do I say it? Because it's when you, if you want to translate exactly from Spanish to English, it's not going to be the same.
Mhm.
So sometimes, like in English, we use phrases that they cannot be translated to Spanish.
Mhm.
So even when I talk to my parents, I'm not going to say that my English is like
100.
100%, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes there are some words that you know the meaning, but you can't find a word to say it in Spanish.
Yes.
And same thing from Spanish to English.
Yeah, there's phrases that we use. They're
Exactly.
cultural
Some
phrases.
phrases, or I think I was talking to my dad the other day. I don't think I can remember what phrase it was that he was asking me. Because my parents, they don't know English. Even though my dad, I mean, he can understand English. Like
Yeah.
he will understand everything that you're saying. But just I mean, he will try to speak to you in English,
Mhm.
but he's not fluent in English. And then when we're at home, we don't speak English. It's
Mhm.
just Spanish all the time.
Wow.
We,
So
no,
going back real quick. So at 12, you come back, you're frustrated here because you're spending 2 years of your life here. You don't know the language. You're not getting the language anywhere else except school. You're
hmm
going home and coming back to your native tongue. You're going out, and when you go places, you're connecting to people that are still speaking your native language.
exactly. And my
So you're
mom
in like this
always told me
bubble, right?
like all the friends that you had when you were in high school and the first time that we came here, they knew Spanish. So
Only.
you weren't forced to learn English.
Mm-hmm.
It will be like a different situation if all your friends knew English and you, of course, you're going to be forced cuz
Mm-hmm.
you need it,
Yeah.
right?
You need the survival. You need to be able to
Exactly. But
communicate.
if you have friends that all the time they're like, "Oh, she doesn't know English. We can talk in Spanish. It's okay." You're never going to be forced. And I think that's what happened to me. I wasn't forced to actually like start practicing the language
Mm-hmm.
until I started working.
And so then that was at what age when you really started throwing yourself immensely
Uh
into the language?
I was 18. Like 7 I was
18.
about to be 18.
So for that, from 12 to 14ish to 15 to 18, you were just, I'm gonna play it safe.
Yeah, and I will be at school and I will be that girl like sitting in the corner, like not trying to talk. Like I will like try the least, and it was just when they asked me a question.
So okay, wait. So now we've talked about you trying to communicate. What was it like trying to hear all this language at one time?
Well, it wasn't that. I'm gonna say that it wasn't that hard for me to understand.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't that bad. It was more like the speaking part.
Okay. Like
Mm,
them speaking or you speaking?
both. I
Okay.
mean, me speaking.
Okay.
Not like, because I feel even like now some, because you know when you're like using like different language all, I mean all the time, like right now that we're in school,
Hmm.
like I know everything from school, right? But when you hear other words that you're not familiar with, you're like, okay, what does that mean?
Or like words that are outside of your comfort zone, right?
Exactly.
And outside of the bubble that you
Yes.
know.
So that's why I always tell my kids when they come here, like, if you don't know a word, ask for it. Or even like Google Translate.
Yeah.
And then you add that word to your vocabulary and then you start using it all the time. So that's what I do when I don't know a word. If I don't know a word, and or even if my dad asks me something, I'm like, I don't know that word. I look for it, and then that's a new word for me. And I try to incorporate that to my language.
I love that. I mean, I really love that. I really think that most people should do that. I think a lot of us, there's a song, I can't remember. I think it's Big Sean, that he says it in a song that says like, it's something along the lines of like, you hear something and most people will like dismiss it while I sit there and I Google it, basically. Because you should, like, if you don't know a word or you don't know a phrase, find it out and use it.
Exactly. Like, even sometimes you're afraid to ask a person, like, what does that mean, right? Yeah. Because you're like, oh, what are they going to say? She's 30 and she doesn't know what it means, right?
She's going to think I'm the stupidest person
even
ever.
until this day, I still have that fear. Like, what are they going to say if I ask, what does that mean, right? Yeah. But there are some words that I'm not familiar with. So if somebody uses, like, certain word and I don't know what it means, I'm like, wait. So what I do, I just, like, Google the word and see what it means. Or, like, different phrases. On how I can use the word. And then I start using it. I'm like, whoa, I have a new word to my vocabulary. Yeah. And you're like all excited because I learned a new word, right? Like, but I feel like it was just myself blocking. Like, I didn't want to learn the language. And then,
like, you unconsciously made a choice of like, well, first of all, you didn't want to be here. And then when you came here, like, and actually decided to live here, and we'll get to why your parents sent you over here. Then your grandfather, who's been your role model and your big father figure, passed away. So I couldn't imagine the animosity that you carried of just being here, like just being here, being forced to come here. And learn a new language and come to a new school, learn a whole new culture itself.
And it was just like moving back and forth, like 2 years here, and then now you're staying in Mexico and making new friends. And when you're like finally like making new friends, they're like, well, you need to go now. We're going back.
So tell me why you came over here at 15 after you already had gotten your green card. You lived here for 2 years, so you were already gotten that situated.
We were there with my mom, and then they were gonna send me somewhere else. They were going to send me to San Luis Potosí to do high school. And then my dad was like, whoa, we're all going to be like spread out, right? Your mom is going to be in Cárdenas with your brothers. I'm going to be in Houston, and then you're going to be in San Luis. So what's going to happen when I go to Cárdenas to visit y'all? Then we're going to have to go to San Luis. That way I can see you, right? So he decided that I was going to come here with him. Wow. And then at first it was only me. And then I guess they decided that they were gonna give me like somebody. So they decided to bring my brother as well. So it was my dad, my brother, and me. And my mom stayed there working with my little brother.
Being as close as y'all are, but yet at the same time so disconnected.
And we weren't used to my dad, to be with my dad, like,
oh, that's right. What was it like? Because you got your mom's set of rules. Your mom's up really hard. Just imagine, and firm.
I remember my dad telling me like even I think the first time that I came here, but it was middle school, right? It's not as different as high school. So my mom was like, you're gonna see a lot of stuff that you haven't seen before. Everything is gonna be different. My dad was just like, just do your best. And then I will call my mom every day and to ask her how to cook. Yes, because I didn't know what to do.
Right, and so you were the mom of the house.
Yes.
And I've said, I think I've had somebody on here before that I've talked about, being the dad of the house, but I've never had someone that became the mom of the house.
Well, my dad was working all day, and he was working all day, and he will get out like after 5, and he will come to work. Home, and then he will try to cook. So I was like, I'm just here. Like, why don't I help him like
Oh, so you took it upon yourself.
Yes, he didn't ask me to do it.
Oh, wow. That's
He didn't
how
ask me.
responsible
He
of
never asked me to do anything at home. He will be like, just call me whenever you get home. That way I'll know that you're there already. And then I will like come home and then cook for y'all. But I decided to do that. So I was the one cooking.
Wow.
I started cooking at 15. And I remember calling my grandma and my mom every day just to ask them how to do something.
What was one of the first recipes you learned?
Oh my God. And so I'm going to tell you that until this day, I don't know how to do rice. I'm like, that's like the
That's
worst.
a staple. Come
No,
on.
I don't like it. I'm like, it's like, no, I just can't. I mean, I will try. Like, I will make it, right? But sometimes it will be good. Sometimes it will be bad. And sometimes it will be in between. But I remember my brother complaining about, like, are we going to eat that? Yeah. Well, because because it was, of course, imagine me cooking at 15 and not knowing what to do, just like trying your best.
So you like on the phone with them as you're cooking, or
No,
are you just
I was
writing
just
down
like
notes?
writing.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was even like looking at like recipe books and things like that. And then I will call my grandma or my mom every day. And then my dad, he will be like, "You're gonna eat it."
He would tell your brother?
Yeah, we're gonna eat it, and they will eat it.
Do you remember one of the dishes that you like absolutely did not do well on, and like what it was like, that amount of frustration?
I think it was caldo de pollo. So when you cook caldo de pollo, you can actually like add the rice.
Yes.
Right, as it is it cooking, right? You don't necessarily have to do it on a different thing. So my grandma told me, yeah, you can add the rice, but she didn't tell me how much rice. So when you add rice, of course,
it expands.
Exactly. And I'm right here trying to make caldo de pollo, and oh my God, I just like, I remember that I went back and checked, and I was like, what is this? It was like all white. Yeah.
It's supposed to be soupy.
Yeah,
kinda.
but it was just like.
Did it look like pudding?
Yeah. And I think my brother and my dad, they still remember that. They were like, remember when you did this? And I'm like, yeah, I know.
What is one of the dishes that now that you're very fond of when you cook? Like you love cooking this dish, and it either jogs a memory, or you're like, I just really love this style of dish, and I enjoy cooking it.
I don't really think I have one, right? That I would be like, I like this. Arroz con leche. I love arroz con leche.
Oh, okay, that's the best. That is the
Yeah,
best.
even my dad will. I think I remember my dad told my mom once, like, well, I like hers better.
Oh,
yeah.
He threw it to the mom.
But I do it the way, because my grandma, she does it like a different way. So I will like ask her, like, how do you do it? And she will tell me, like, well, you're gonna do this and you're gonna do that, then you're gonna add the sugar, because sometimes people use like condensed milk.
Condensed milk. That's what
and
I've
that's
used
it,
before.
right? So the way that my grandma showed me how to do it, it's different, and I like it. I think I like that. I don't eat that anymore because sometimes I try to eat healthy, but yeah, that's one of the things.
So then you came. So just going back, you came over at 18. You decide a light switch turns on, and you decide to learn the language. You said it was at work.
Yeah,
because what was one of the jobs that you got to meet and interact with people?
I was a cashier at Cece's Pizza, so of course I needed to talk to people.
Yes.
And it was just like, oh my God. But I wanted to work. I wanted money. So I asked my dad, can I please do it? And he was like, okay. So I remember I was eating there, and then I asked the manager, and he called me like after 2 hours. He was like, well, we need a cashier. You want to work with us? And I was like, sure. Yeah. So I went back, I did all the paperwork, and then I started working. And then that's when I kind of like started like interacting with people. And then I think that helped me a lot. And, I went to college, and of course, college is not the same as high school.
Yeah.
So I needed to practice my English.
That's true. You went to college right after high school, right? And so you didn't have anybody there to kind of guide you or anything, and it's all on your own. So you found that drive.
My mom was here at that time, because we were here for 2 years with my dad. And then I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but over there in Mexico, they can ask for kind of like a, let's say, a permit where you can like be out of work for 3 years and then come back and still get, I mean, still work at the same school and everything, right?
That is crazy.
So we were here for 2 years, and then after 2 years, my mom was like, "Well, your brother, he misses y'all, so he's going with y'all."
Mhm.
My little brother, he was like 7. If I was 17, no, he was 10.
Wow.
So we were taking care of my little brother, and my mom was in Mexico. She will come.
Mhm.
She will come for like the weekend and go back. It was kind of hard because can you imagine 12 hours?
12-hour drive.
Yeah, exactly. And then be here for just the weekend and then go back to work. So it was hard. So we did that for like 6 months, and then I think in January my mom asked for another one. So she came, and she was here for 2 years with us.
Wow.
So when I graduated from high school, my mom was here, and then she was here for 2 years. So I wasn't taking care of the house anymore. She was the one.
I was gonna say I couldn't imagine
it was just
the
like
amount of pressure that was
I mean,
relieved.
not that it was something that they were asking me to do, right? But it was something that I wanted.
Yeah.
But when she was here, she was the one cooking and everything, so we were fine. So she went back because she needed to make a decision. She had to retire. And I think she had the years already because she started working when she was like 20 or 21. So she was working. She worked for like 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So she retired. She went back. She was there for 2 years. And then now my brother was in college. And I was here with my little brother. I was taking care of my little brother. And he was in middle school, and it was my dad. So it was only the three of us.
It was a lot harder.
And yeah, kind of.
Because you're working, he's working. No, nobody's really off. Like, I'm sure there was a couple times you're like, "You got the kid? Like, where's your brother? Who's picking your brother up?"
He was in middle school already, so it wasn't that bad. But still, like, he was in football, so we will have to go and pick him up from practice and everything. So my mom went back for 2 years, and then she retired, and then that's when she was like actually able to like come back.
Wow. So I couldn't imagine the amount of pressure that was relieved from you.
That's when we were finally able to be all together.
What was it like? What was that like?
Of course, it was.
Was it challenging? Because I mean, y'all not used to each other.
It is, because we weren't used to each other, like you said. It was just like, oh my God, what are we gonna do when I'm here with them? I do this, and now it's not me, it's my mom.
So did you find it was a little hard for you to let go of that?
For me, it was just like, okay, now you can do.
You take over. It was more of let go.
Yeah, kind of, but I don't know. It was hard because I don't think we really ever had the chance to be all together. Well, maybe just during those few years that she asked, but when she came back the second time, I think my brother was already in college, or I don't know. I can't exactly remember.
That's fine.
But I don't think us as a family ever had the chance to be like all together. You're like complete. Because when we were in Mexico, it was just like we were missing my dad, right? He will go, and then he's always been awesome and very responsible. I'm not gonna say that, oh, my dad was here. No, he will call us like every weekend, and I remember like us like waiting for his call and everything. And when he was about to go visit us, he will ask us, okay, so what do y'all need? What do y'all want? And then it was just us like waiting for my dad, because it's your dad. I mean, and it was not like my parents were divorced, and no, they were together. It was just that he was living here, and well, he was working here, my mom was over there, but we were a family. And we were always missing that part. And then we decided to come to America, and then it was something like completely different for us, because my mom, she wouldn't she wouldn't drive. So we had to wait for my dad. It's not that she didn't, but it was like different for her to drive here.
Yeah.
So we will have to wait for my dad to go outside on the weekends, to go out on the weekends and things like that. But it was a different experience. And then us going back and again family is not complete, then we're not together, and then okay, now it's just my dad, my brother, and I, and it was kind of like a hard situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I guess you see families together all the time.
I'm glad because it sounds like you said, like you didn't realize what you didn't have until you had it all together finally. And I mean that's a great way to put it. I liked how you said that. Like you didn't realize until you look at like holidays and you're like looking at other families. You're like they have everybody, and I'm waiting on dad or I'm waiting on
Especially,
this.
especially like I know we don't do that here, but I think I already mentioned this. In Mexico, they do like festivals for like Mother's Day,
Yeah.
for Father's Day, for everything, and my sometimes for Father's Day, my dad wasn't there, so my grandpa was the one there all the time.
There comes those memories,
Yes,
right?
my grandpa was there all the time, and even for Mother's Day, if they had a Mother's Day festival, my grandma was the one there. Not because my mom wasn't there, but she also had a festival at work, so she had to be there.
Yeah.
So sometimes she would like be like, okay, and let me go for like 10. If it was in the afternoon, then she will be able to go.
Yeah.
But if it was in the morning and she had her festival at school too, then it will be my grandma.
So with that, we're gonna take a break and we'll come right back. All right, guys, and we are back. And so, where we left off with you being 18, working at CC's Pizza, being a cashier, and you're going to college. So you had mentioned before that you went to college for a little bit and you decided to take a break.
Well, I didn't actually take a break.
Okay.
But I kind of like wanted to quit school. I
would have never suspected that. I would have never suspected that.
I wasn't doing that good. I mean, I wasn't doing good. I don't know if it was because of the language or what it was. It was just that I don't know. I was failing classes.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you were more focused on getting the money?
I think it was that part too, but I don't know if I wasn't motivated or what it was. And I was making money, of course. I was like, I was more into work than college. So my mom was like, no, you're not going to quit school. You're going to keep studying, even if it's just like something small, but you need to have your paper. That way you can have a better job, right? Yes. So
at 18 we don't understand the importance of this stuff. We take it for granted we have.
It took me a while, but I finished college. Probably like 5 years.
Hey, maybe. I was on the 5-year plan too. It's all right. All right.
No, but just to do all my basic stuff, right? Well, I don't know if it was more 4 years. I don't know. I can remember, but I graduated when I was about to be 25. So it took me almost 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you kept going. You kept you would take a couple classes at a time.
I was just taking classes. I think it was my first 2 years that I wasn't doing that good. So put those 2 years in the trash because the girl, she didn't want to do good. Yeah. She decided that she wanted to make money at work. And then after I think I can remember it was on my 3rd year. I was in San Jac, and my dad was just throwing money there, Yeah,
because your parents were paying for it, right?
My dad was paying for her for.
What a blessing! That is a blessing
for my school. So they were like, "You need to finish. You need to do something." And then probably after my 4th year, I was like, "Okay, yeah, I need to do something."
And so, what made you settle on education?
Well, my brother is younger than me, and he was about to finish college, and I had nothing. So I was like, oh my God, I need to do something. Yeah. So I think it was my brother. I was just like, oh my God, he's doing so good. He's not even here. Because he went to Lamar University in Bowman.
Oh, okay.
So he was there, and I'm like, he's doing good, and I'm here. And you need to do something. It's going to be really embarrassing for your brother to finish school and then you have nothing.
Let's put a pause real quick. Okay.
Yeah. So I completed all my courses at San Jac, right? And then, of course, I wanted to transfer to finish to University of Houston Clear Lake. And then I remember my dad telling him, you need to let me know if you really want to do this, because I'm not spending any more money.
That's a tough conversation to have with a kid.
He was like, I'm not going to spend any more money if you're just going to go fail classes over there, because it's not going to be, I mean, it's going to be way more money.
Yes, way more money.
I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I want to do this. So I did all the paperwork, and then I transfer, and then I made my plan, and I was like, in 2 years, I'm going to graduate. That was my plan. So I think I was taking like 5-6 classes per semester. I had everything planned. So I was like, I'm going to do this. So I was supposed to
There's that determination.
It was like, I need to do this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, even if I have to take 6 classes a semester, but I have 2 years and that's it. My brother was he was going to graduate in May. So my goal was for me to graduate in December of 2015. So I did everything. I did my plan. I started doing my internship, and in order, I don't know if you did the same thing, but for bilingual, we have to do 4 exams.
No, I only had to take.
Well, I know you only had 2, right?
Yeah, the 2,
but I'm saying, like, I did my first internship. You don't need any exams to do that, right? But when you're about to do your second internship, they ask you to pass all your exams.
Wow.
So
all 4 right there.
All 4, and for bilingual, it's 4. So it used to be 3, but now they do 4. 2 for bilingual and 2 for the PPC. I mean, I was gonna say PPCD. The other 2 that we have to do, and then I didn't pass one of them.
Oh my goodness.
So the date, it was gonna be like really close before the beginning of the school year. So I wasn't able to keep going. I had to stop.
Oh my goodness, I must have felt so.
So I was like, oh my
hard.
God, what am I gonna do, right? So I was like, I'm just gonna be sitting there for a semester. So I started asking. I was like, I need to do something. I cannot, because I wasn't working at that time. Because even my dad told me, you need to stop working. That way you can concentrate in school. So I wasn't working. I was subbing because I was doing my internship in Deer Park. And I remember the principal at the school where I was doing my internship. She was like, after you're done with college, don't go look for a job anywhere. You're staying here.
Wow.
And I missed that opportunity.
Because of that one test.
Yes.
And was it like 5 points, 2 points? You remember?
I think it was just like a minimum. But you need to certain points. It's not like, oh, she missed one. It's okay. We're gonna give her the certification. No. So that's when I started working as a para for pre-K.
Yeah, I'll
right?
fix that, don't worry.
And I remember when I went to human resources, the lady told me, like, why don't you do the alternative program? And I had no idea what it was. So they kind of explained to me. I went to the university and I asked if I could do that. And they were like, no, it's late for you to start that program, so you can do it. But I don't know what happened that I was like, okay, if they're not going to allow me to do the alternative, then I can do Texas teachers. Because I'm going to have to go back and do another semester for my second internship. And then I won't be able to work because I have to do full time.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I do the alternative, then that way I can get paid, work as a teacher, and I'm going to graduate in December just the way I planned.
Yeah.
So I just took like one extra class. I was taking one class, and then I graduated in December.
So they counted that year that you worked, your first year of working, as your student teaching and your experience and all that stuff.
Here?
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Wow.
So that's when I graduated. I kept working. I finished the whole school year, and then that's when they offered me the position where I'm at.
Wow.
So I've been at Freeman for 6. This is going to be my 6th year. Yeah. Because I worked 1 year as a para, and then this is going to be my 5th year as a teacher.
That is awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, it was not the plan that I had. I wanted to like graduate with all my certifications and everything from college, but still I graduated. The only thing that it was different, it was just that the university didn't give me my certification as a teacher. I got the certification through another program, but my actual, like, everything that I did in school was
degree and all that stuff
on education.
So before we go and before we end, I wanted you to tell one of those embarrassing moments that you had. You said it was one of your most embarrassing moments, and so you said it was about a festival.
Yes. So, like I mentioned before, they do festivals for everything in Mexico, for Mother's Day, for Christmas, and everything. So I think it was, I can remember if it was Mother's Day, and so we were doing a show, right? So I was singing, and I remember practicing with the teacher I had and these boys that they were in second grade. I was in third grade, and then we practiced one song, right? And then we kind of like practiced another one, but we were like, no, we're only gonna do this song, right? So I was on stage, I did my performance and everything, and then I remember the teacher telling me, do the other song. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And then they had all these people there, of course, all the parents.
Yeah.
And I was like standing in front of them, and he's like, do the other song. So he tells the person in charge of the sound, like, yeah, play the other song. And I'm just like standing there, like I think I just remember the chorus from the song. And I was just like standing there, and they were like trying to help me.
Yeah.
Like the guy from the sound, he was like, this. I remember he was just like looking at me like this is what it's next. And I was just like standing there.
You just froze in front of everybody.
Like, oh my God, how embarrassing. Like all the parents looking at you, all the students, and then you're just like, I don't know. She probably didn't learn the song. No, that's not what it happened. We agreed to only do one song, and then suddenly you're like, whoa, you're doing the next one.
You're so good. You're so good. Do it again. Do it again.
I was like, oh my God. I think it was the worst thing ever.
Those childhood plays are so, oh my God, they could be so fun, but it's also depending on how it goes.
They kept like kind of like pretending like they were like playing the instruments, and I was just like standing there with the microphone, like I didn't know what to do. And I think I was freaking out that I wasn't even like dancing. I was just like standing there looking at my teacher, and then looking at the guy from the sound, like trying to tell me the song. And then I was just like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
And then you come over to the States and you got to talk to people in front of people without knowing the language. You just had a lot of times doing that.
Yeah, I think just like moving here from Mexico to here, it was just like a big change for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be like really like extrovert, maybe I can say that.
You used to be very outgoing?
Yes. But when I came here, it was like, it was a different me. I wasn't able to be myself. So now it's just like, I don't want to talk in front of people. I'm always like shy. When they ask me to like talk in front of people, I'm always like, no, I don't want to do it.
Well, I mean, it is nerve-wracking, especially like you said, coming over and then you had your speech at that time.
Even like making friends, I'm always like,
you don't want to feel like you're being judged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I would hope not, right? I would hope not. But, you're always going to have those one person that, they'll say something on the side or whatever. But, with that, we'll end the podcast. But before we end, as always, what is a life lesson you could give to the listeners?
Never give up. Like, no matter what happens, or even if people try to, like, if they try to not make you feel like you're worth it, or that you can do certain thing, just do it. Just not to please other people, but to feel good about yourself. Like, I did it. Because now I see other people that were with me in high school. I mean, they were born here. They had the opportunity to do amazing things, right? That maybe people in Mexico don't have that opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
or even here.
Yeah, some people here don't have
Right. So if your parents are giving you that opportunity to have a better life, do it.
that. And don't do it for them. Do it for yourself.
Exactly.
Man, that's a good.
Not
point.
because you want other people to be, I mean, because you want to be better than other people, just because it's going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Like, I did this.
You accomplished it. You set that out and you did it. And I think that's 100% true. You realize that a lot of people, especially you coming from another country, you see how many people squander what they have. And you chose, you could have easily squandered that. You were almost there at that age where you were like, I'll just work. And again, not knowing really what it would have been, you could have still been at CC's Pizza. Who knows if that girl didn't make that decision to turn on the light and make that choice and be determined to do whatever you needed to do. And I think that's a great point. And I think with that, guys, we'll end here. Thank you guys for listening. As always, like and subscribe if you're enjoying it. And thanks for coming out today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll catch y'all on the next episode. That's the end of the episode. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like and subscribe button down below to get the latest updates. Until then, see you guys next time.